Hello, RAP students. This is Dr. Smith here with you today to go over testing strategies. We're going to actually put them to work using some math practice problems. So what I'm going to start off with is some problems that are focused more on third grade math. And just because you're not in third grade, if you feel like math is not your best subject, or even if it is, you can always use these testing strategies and practice problems just to kind of warm up, or if you feel like you can always practice, then you can use it for that, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Go ahead and pull your strategies out. You should have a paper or something that lists all your strategies as you start to practice putting them to work, okay? All right, so take a moment and read these questions so you can, just get an idea of what they're talking about, and we'll do them together also. What figure shows a shaded amount that is equivalent to the fraction 2 over 6, or 2/6, excuse me. So in our strategies, we reread the question, and we're going to make sure that we understand what they're asking. So I'm going to either underline or circle keywords. I'm going to do equivalent, and I'm going to circle the fraction, actually. You might even want to do shaded, because you never know when you have a question that may ask you what the fraction is of the part that is not shaded. So you need to make sure you know what is being asked of you, okay? And then what I'm going to do is, you could solve this several ways. Some people are really quick with the equivalents, so they may look at 2/6 and come up with the equivalent right away, or reduce the fraction right away, however you want to do it. What I'm going to do first, though, is I'm going to go ahead and put the fraction that is shaded of each one of these answers first. So that guarantees me that I'm going to see every answer, and that is in our list, okay? So we have one shaded part of 3 parts, and then we have 2 shaded parts of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parts. And then here we have 3 shaded parts with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total parts. And over here, there's 2 out of 3. So now that we have that, if you are really quick with reducing this fraction, you might want to do it that way. If you do that, I'm going to write it up here, and beside it, put the factors of 2, and then the factors of 6, which would be 1 and 6, and 2 and 3. And we see that the factors that are the same is this 2 and this 2. And so we can go over here, and we can do 2 divided by, this is our factor that we're going to use, 2 divided by 2 and 6. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And if you have 6 divided by 2, it's going to be 3. So here's an equivalent. We can see if that'll work for us. Do we have any that's a third? And we do. So we can come over here and find this as our answer. Because if you reduce 2/6, it becomes 1/3. And we have A with 1/3 shaded. Okay? So we did go through the strategies. You read the first time, and then you reread it, and you made sure that you understand what they were asking, and if you needed to circle or underline any keywords, you did that, and you looked at all of your answer choices, of course, in this case, and you reduced your fraction so that you could find an answer. And there you go. You picked the best answer. You could have even, if you wanted to go through and mark things off, you could do that. You already knew that 2 over 8 is, the denominator is totally different from what you have, so that's not going to work. And you knew that 1/3 and 2/6 were not equivalent, and that 2/3 is not equivalent to either one of those. So you can mark them off too. And we have no all of the above, so you don't have to worry about that. Just make sure when you're doing these, this problem wasn't too hard, but it's a decent problem. When you have really easy questions, make sure that you don't rush through them, because you want to get those right. You want to make sure you get the easy ones. So make sure that you don't rush. Make sure you answer it and you bubble in the correct answer. Don't give it a chance for you to miss that easy question, okay? All right. Now let's move on to the next one. What fraction of this figure is shaded? So let me do some key words here. I want to make sure that I know, because sometimes you'll have questions that come up that are asking you the part that is not shaded. So make sure you understand they want to know the fraction of the part that's shaded here. So we've already done all of that. We're going to go ahead and look for our answer first. That's on our list. So how we do that is just like we did with the number 1. We're going to count the shaded area, which is 2, but we also need to know the total number, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if you look at the answers, 1/4 is not 2/8. 1/5 is not 2/8. 3/4 is not 2/8. And 2/5 is not 2/8. So then you go, what are we going to do? So what you can do is reduce the fraction. So if we reduce the fraction, I'm going to take it all the way over here and put the 2 and the 8, and we're going to do our factors, okay? So 2 and 1 is one set of factors, and of 8, you have 1 and 8, you have 2 and 4, and I think that's all. Do you see any factors that are the same? We see 2. So if we divide this 2 by 2, we'll have that 1. And if we divide the 8 by 2, we'll have the 4. So I'm just going to take it on out here and make it 1/4. So we reduce the fraction. Let's see if now we can find an equivalent. And look at there, 1/4 shows up. So we're going to pick 1/4 because if we try to use 2/8, we're not going to have an answer. All right? So we've done all that we can from our list, and we'll move on to the next one. Number 3, which figure could be added to the diagram to make it true? So you're going to need to figure out which one of these at the bottom is actually going to be less than this one, this particular diagram here, because this is saying that this side is greater. All right. So how I would start this, but there's several ways you can do it. You could always, if you wanted to circle true, to let you know that you want the one that makes this true. If you feel like you need to do that, you could do that. We understand what it's asking us from our list. And now we're going to, I'm going to go ahead and figure out what all the shaded areas are, okay? So we got 1, 2, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total. And down here you have 1 that's shaded out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The next one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then one more that's not shaded, so that makes it 6. And this one has 2 that is shaded, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now let me say, don't get lazy on this, because what if, don't assume you get to C and all of them, they've all had 6 parts. They could throw something else in there, so count them all. Don't assume. Make sure you count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? Even if you're pretty sure they're going to be the same, still count them. Still count them. All right. So now we have to pick a diagram that is less than 2, 6. That means the top number here, because they all have the same denominator, the top number here, the numerator has to be smaller than 2. So which one is smaller than 2? And that would be 1, 6, because it has a 1 at the top. So we would choose that one. Okay? I hope that you did that with some ease. If not, that's okay, because especially if you're just getting started, or if math is not something that you are so excited about, the goal is to get it done, pretty much. So keep practicing, all right? And we'll move on to the next one. Okay, let's go to the next problem. If you would, go ahead and read it on your own. You can pause your television if you need to. All right, so you read it. We're going to read it again together, but you could have done the first few numbers on the list, which was to make sure you understand what they were asking, and you underlined any key words if you felt you needed to. So it says, Amy shaded some parts of this poster, and they want to know what fraction of the area of the poster is shaded. So they want you to tell them the shaded part, okay? So you can either come up with your own answer right away, or you can use go ahead and look at the answers. And according to our list, you should try and come up with your own answer first. That will keep you from getting confused if you feel like you might get confused, okay? So let's go ahead and look at what's been shaded. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts that are shaded, and the total number of parts is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or if you prefer to use your math facts, you have 2 times 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 times 4 is 8, either way. So the shaded area is 5/8. So let's see if that answer is somewhere down here. You have 2/3, 3/8, 5/3, and 5/8. And there we go, 5/8 is right there. This is an example of a pretty simple problem. And like I said, don't let these slip away. You always want to make sure that you take your time and just make sure you understand what's being asked. If you need to keep it straight, if they're asking you for the shaded area or the area that's not shaded, make sure that you circle something, underline something to make sure that you understand what you are actually answering, because they'll sometimes try and trick you by putting the answer of, if they're asking for the unshaded areas or the non-shaded areas, they may put 5/8 on that, still put it down here just to see if they can trip you up, okay? So just make sure you take your time, and then once you have your answer, that you bubble in the answer sheet correctly, okay? Don't rush. All right. So I hope that went pretty well with you. That's all that I have of the 3rd grade questions. I'm not going to give you too many because you have the strategies. You see how you go through it, and that's all you have to do. So each time you solve practice problems, you should become more familiar, you get better with it, and you understand more about the types of questions that will be asked, okay? So my only advice here is to practice, practice, practice. If you have questions, you have your rap family, you have your teacher at school. You can ask questions, get help however you need to, but continue to practice. And as I always say, just remember to exercise your mind as well as your body, and I will see you next time.